Good morning. It's April 26th. Trading the Nasdaq futures as usual. As always, for those who are just clicking on the video, go ahead and skip to the. Let me mute my thing here. For those who are just clicking on the video, go ahead and skip to the end of it. This will probably be an hour to 2 hours long, and I will recap all the trades that I take at the end of it. For those who are watching live, thanks for joining. Hopefully this is just for entertainment, not for don't copy my trades. I'm a bad trader, and this is just my experience with the Top Step Step 2 account and just kind of showing how it goes for me. Anyway, the Nasdaq is pushing up. Sunday night it opened overnight. As we all know, Friday night we hit highs, sold off through the Sunday session, and then overnight it looks like it chopped sideways, dropped down, and caught a bid somewhere and is now pushing up. So we'll be patient here for a bit in the morning, see what it wants to do before we jump into anything. I have a feeling that today is just going to be like it's going to try for the highs and reject. That's just the sense that I get after looking at this chart. Sorry, I know I'm moving my screen a lot. But yeah, I just get the sense that the market's going to try for highs, test it, pull back, go again, try, test it, pull back. So I'm going to be patient this morning and probably wait for a bit before I jump into anything. ES also pushing this morning. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and draw the opening range today. Based on the 5-minute chart here. And I'll probably adjust this opening range for the 15 once the 15-minute range bar prints. You can also see the standard deviations on the VWAP. So the VWAP bands are really tight. When they're tight like this, I generally try to avoid trading just because, you know, what is this, roughly 20-30 points is not very big. So I'd rather these bands be a lot further apart when I'm taking my entries. It gives me more space to get in on a pullback, and basically if we're in an uptrend and it pulls back in a larger band, it's like I'm getting a better deal, so to speak. So I'd rather those be larger. And also when the bands are tight like this, you're also at risk of trading like consolidation or just back and forth choppiness. So I'm just gonna be patient this morning and just relax. If the ES was coming down right now, I would think this is actually a good spot to short just based off of this little formation. Of course, it would be a short with a very tight stop. I wouldn't leave a stop very far away on this formation here. But we'll see. Like I said, just going to be patient and chill for a bit this morning. It's kind of the name of the game. Still looks like it's trying to push down. Sellers coming in on the delta still. We'll see if they can get this thing to VWAP or through it. Speaking of which, probably draw the bottom of the opening range would be about here. And this is what I mean by the VWAP bands are small right now. So this opening range is really small. If in the by the 15 minute mark, sorry, if by the 15 minute mark this hasn't spread out, I'm just gonna delete these. Just to find that opening range plays work a lot better when you have very big movement at the open, and when when the opening range is very tight like this, it's a little bit less relevant, or a lot less. Hopefully, can have another day today like Friday. I think the only mistake I have or the only regret is that I didn't continue trading. I always quit around the 2 hour mark just because, I get mentally tired, and so I like to keep myself fresh so that I can always see charts. But the market pushed up a lot after I got out of it. It was just starting to on my last trade, and after I moved my stop up and got stopped out for profit, the market kept shooting up, and I saw other trades to take, but I just decided to close out the charts and just walk away. But looking at it by the end of the day, there was left a lot of potential gains on the table. It's all right. Looks like some buyers are trying to come in here. See if we can break above the opening range, break the high and push. 5 minutes till we're at the 15-minute bar forms. And the reason I keep bringing up the 15-minute is because I think that's if you go on a time-based chart, like when trading, it's always kind of important to keep in mind what other people are doing, right? Like that's the whole point of looking at candlesticks and charts and the DOM and whatever. Like the whole point of that is to figure out what are the other traders doing? Are they going long, short? Where are their stops? Whatever. Supports, resistances, and all that. So I think the 15-minute chart is really important to know, like where the supports and resistances are on that level, because I think a lot of day traders look at the 15 specifically, and then probably the 5 is probably the next most utilized as well. I don't necessarily know that, but that's a guess. That's what I would guess. I personally think all the longer time frames are a little bit easier to be correct on. Like it's easier to be correct on a 30-minute, an hour, and like a 4-hour chart. It's easier to get direction right on that. However, I don't think most day traders are looking at, maybe 30 minutes, yeah, but I don't think they're looking at like 2 hour, 1 hour, or we'll just say 1 hour plus. I don't think they're looking at time frames longer than an hour for entries. I mean, I'm certainly not. So we're getting a push here. Again, gonna be patient this morning. I want the market to kind of show its hand before I, start trying to guess or do anything. Last thing I want to do is buy here and, it double tops and comes down, or, fakes a breakout and comes down. So I'm going to be really patient. See if it can actually get through this area, and if it pushes above, then I'll look to take a long wherever it can pull back, or if it sets like a new breakout on a new range, then I'll look to maybe long that as well. ES pushing. could also do is I could just take this breakout and just have a very, very tight stop and just accept the loss if it happens. I'll do that.
Order filled.
Stops here. If it comes against me, we'll just get out.
Order filled.
Exiting. I don't really like to take these breakout trades and leave like space. I know a lot of people will say if it breaks out, they'll put their stop underneath the swing low, but it's just too much space on the potential unknown gain. So for me, if I'm going to trade a breakout like I just did there, I'm just going to enter in fairly quickly on whatever the break is and hope that it pushes up and doesn't stop me out underneath my maybe a range bar or two, but certainly no more than, I'm not going to give up more than 10 points on that type of a move. Because again, this thing could always double top or false breakout and shoot down. Kind of the importance of patience there. And if you're not going to be patient like I just wasn't, then, you know, adjust your stops. The delta still looks decent. ES still looks like it's pushing. So if this pulls back near this opening range low box or near VWAP and starts coming back up, then I'll long that as well. I'm going to adjust this opening range for the 15-minute. Which just printed. Let's see where this wants to flush to, if anywhere. A nice little volume node here. See if it bounces off that, or if it gets or if it pushes through. Thing is, so right now I know I have to be patient, and this is just to explain like feelings, right? So I'm feeling that I just want to get in and get out. Like I want to take a trade, so I'm feeling eager to, you know, buy or sell something. But I know I have to be patient. So with that being said, I want to see this push down right now, so at least I'm able to enter something that I'd want to take quickly. I don't want to see this start pushing up until it hits VWAP. The other thing I don't want to see is I don't want to see it push down and push through VWAP either. This is enough of a drop for me. I will take a long here if it bounces. Excuse me there. Allergies getting the best of me, man. Yes, looks like it's trying to hold the high and see if it can get through and push up further. And that's a good sign there. If it does break this high and continues upward, that's a very good sign that the Nasdaq will follow suit. I want to see a little more of something on this delta. I'd like to. I was looking to see if it would push back above the first standard deviation and break this node. If it had gotten above that right there, I probably would have marketed in long, but it didn't. And with it kind of having that test upwards and failing and coming back down, like I know this is small, right? But you have to understand that the VWAP bands are really close to each other. So this is actually significant relative to what we've seen currently today. So this is technically like a failed push up, and it's rejecting. As much as I know that's tiny, it's only 5 points, it's whatever. I think it matters. So if this continues downwards now, I'm less inclined to want to buy off of VWAP unless I see something dramatic on the delta or somewhere else. I don't think I'm going to long this anymore, which sucks because now I have to wait, and I really wanted to trade. Okay, so we have the breakout short. Again, I could trade this breakout. I could short this and just put my stop right underneath the VWAP. Tempted to. We'll see what it does here. If it looks like it wants to continue, I may just short this breakout.
Order filled.
Stops under VWAP, or right above VWAP, sorry. We'll see if this thing wants to get down somewhere. Gonna move my stop to just above break even fairly quick. If this thing can show any sort of sustain, it's plenty enough for me. Move it to $100, so at least it's something.
Stop filled.
Okay, stopped out quickly there. Would have liked to see it push down further without stopping me out. It probably will, and I'm just out too early, but it's just kind of is what it is. That's how I trade breakouts. I'm just not willing to lose a lot. A little unfortunate the first one that I took, lost 300 something compared to this one, which only made $100, but we'll make it all back eventually, so it's no big deal. Just gonna be patient here, look for the pullback, maybe to VWAP or maybe to a volume node or opening range low, and we'll just look to short. Trying to stay disciplined and not FOMO right back into it short. let's look at where potential resistances are on the short side. Pivot point is at 875. Lines up with the volume node, lines up with the chart, lines up with the 200 EMA. So most likely this is going to be a very, very strong resistance here. Okay, getting a push up here. Tempted to take the short off of the VWAP. I'd like to see it actually touch VWAP before I short that though. Watching the ES as well to make sure, you know, it's not starting to push up and actually go long on me. As much as my bias right now is short, always have to remember that, you know, technically on a slightly longer time frame, this is still an upward push. And overall, the Nasdaq is bullish at the moment. So whenever we're taking these shorts on these smaller time frame moves, just have to be cognizant and aware of that and make sure it really looks good to go short. Just because technically on the more major time frames, I'm trading against the trend if I try to take a short here. Looks like it wants to come up. Lots of buyers coming in on this push. Let's see if they can continue it and, you know, sustain it and have some momentum. Just above VWAP. Looking at this drop here, this could have been stops getting a run on this little range that formed.
Order filled.
Going to add, stop is a bit far away. I'm gonna give this one a little bit of a chance. Just a little bit. Under VWAP and I'm done with it. See, I was thinking short up until it crossed this VWAP. Once it crossed VWAP, then I wasn't thinking short anymore. I think what I'm falling victim to right now is a bit of just forgetting how tight these VWAP bands are, so that all these moves that are happening seem significant, but they're actually all very, very small moves for the Nasdaq. So it's not really adhering to the VWAP bands. As you can see, it's pushing to like the midpoints and not really stopping at the VWAP bands. And that's because they're small. So it doesn't take very many buyers or sellers to push it one way or the other. Let's see if we can catch a bid here. I need some buyers to hit buy market. Okay, trade is at least slightly green now. See if it can sustain. Seeing some buyers coming in on the delta, so that's good. Again, just gonna move this to just above break even. I hope it doesn't stop me out there. So what is that locking in? 270. Just move to 285 so that at least, you know, if I get stopped out here, it'll put me at just above break even. But I'm gonna try and give it some space from here. See if it can't push up and get through this node that I was trying to get above earlier, right? Nah, go above. We'll just chase. I don't know if this is actually going to break out of here or if it's going to get caught at opening range and like come down here. Like this may be it.
Stop filled.
Okay, so we're out. Let's see, what did that trade make? Made 630 on that trade. So up 360 on the day. Just gonna be patient, relax for a little bit, see what the market really wants to do. You know, sold off here. I almost think that they were running stops. Don't ask me who they are, but that's what it looks like. Like some stops just got ran on this range and now it's pushing up. We'll see if it can actually break out here. If it does, I'm going to try to be very, very patient and just let it really push up and then have a large pullback somewhere. I may end up waiting for the next hour and a half, and that never happens, but that's just the name of the game. So be patient. We'll wait for that. If it chops here and starts going back down, I don't know what I'll do. Most likely the best thing to do if this actually does start coming down off of this opening range is to just wait for it to break this range entirely before doing anything. I know some traders like to trade these choppy markets or just back and forth using stochastics or RSI or whatever indicators, but that's just not my style of trading. And you know, I already do bad enough when it's trending. I would just get destroyed trying to do that. So if that happens, I probably will just watch and not take anything, but we'll see. Oh, you gotta try to plan for everything. The one thing that I don't account for is, you know, what always happens. And not to rant, but that's kind of how I feel about indicators in general. So I don't like indicators. What I do like are I like things like this, right? Like pivot points. So we can go to the time chart here. Like all these orange lines, these are pivot levels. So what the market does is it plots a pivot point here, and then I can't remember what the equation is. You know, it's some multiple of this, and then you add something to it, like yesterday's high or yesterday's low or whatever. But it uses the previous day's pivot levels to, you know, figure out the next day's pivot levels. I do like these because it shows natural supports and resistances that just develop and things that other people are going to see and adhere to. Sorry. Just come back here. Same with VWAP bands, right? Everybody knows VWAP. This is a standard deviation off of VWAP. This is 2 standard deviations and 3 standard deviations. So it just gives you a general idea of how extended to the long side is the market, how extended to the downside is the market. Like if you're looking at VWAP bands and you see like right now we're at the +1, the +1 is like the ideal spot for let me enter a long and capture some sort of push up, right? If this is at the +3, I'm much more hesitant to take any sort of breakout trade up here because we're already extended to the long side. So what I'm going to do at the +3 is I'm going to wait for it to pull back, you know, maybe to like the +1 or +2 or just whatever. I'm going to wait for a larger pullback before I start longing all the way up here. Whereas here at the +1, I'm much more likely to trade a breakout. Granted, I'm not going to trade a breakout now because you can see the opening range is held a couple times, so I'm not doing that this time. Of course, the delta looks really, really strong here, so maybe I should, to be honest. But I'm just gonna be patient. I'm trying to think what's more important, this delta or this range. Most of the time I would say the delta. Anyway, I'm just gonna be patient. I'm gonna wait for it to actually break out, and I'll just buy the pullback. Um, but yeah, getting back on topic. So at this opening range, at the not opening range, on the VWAP bands, if I'm seeing that we're at the +3, I'm not gonna trade breakouts up here because we're so far extended. You're more likely to get a big push to the downside, and then vice versa at the bottom. So I like things like that. I just find that indicators specifically, um, I think the most notorious ones are like the what's it called, the MACD, RSI, and really any indicator that I've ever used for entries, trying to follow any sort of a very systematic, almost like you could basically code it into a system, and the computer would just basically, or some sort of AI would take the trades for you, or algorithm, whatever, would take the trades for you. Anytime I've tried anything like that, or any sort of like set system, it hasn't worked. It works for a time and then stops working. Or I trade completely based off the indicator, and then it's almost like it does the exact opposite. That's something that baffles me. I don't know how to answer what the answer to that is, or if anybody knows the answer. But how can you can trade it? And let's take MACD for instance. You can take the MACD, plot it against a 200 EMA, and take only longs when the MACD gives good buy signals, and the strategy could lose money, and then you could go ahead and take those exact same trades, but to the short side, and still lose money. And that's something I've back tested multiple times along with multiple indicators, and it's happened the majority of the time. So I don't understand. That's one thing I don't quite understand, how the market moves in a way that you can lose in both directions. But from my personal experience, I don't like to use indicators like that too much. I keep cumulative delta on here just because I find it to be very helpful and is a good reference. Haven't been trusting it as much lately, just because I think it was Wednesday last week. It was some day last week. The delta was rocketing off to highs while the chart was at lows, so you would think that it was due for a push up, and then the market just sold off, and that I got destroyed on that trade. I got hurt bad because I scaled in there for 3 contracts, thinking, oh, this thing is gonna go long at some point, and it just never did. The market totally died on me. So we're seeing a very strong buyers are very strong on the delta. I would have expected that, given that this VWAP band is not big and that this opening range is not all that big, that it would have pushed through here and gone to the long side and really broken out by now. But it hasn't. Also looking at the ES is at highs for the day, so the Nasdaq should be able to push here. I don't know what the holdup is. Maybe everyone's being like me and just saying, now we're gonna wait for somebody else to push it up, and then we'll buy their pullback. But who knows? It's on. I'm looking at the stream and it shows really blurry when I pull up the screen. Is it that way for y'all as well, or is it just because I'm streaming so it's reducing the quality for me personally? Should probably pull up the stream on a different computer to be able to check, huh? It says the stream is healthy, so not sure. Yeah, I don't know. Hmm. I don't know. Anyway, market meandering. ES still pushing, which is good. Nasdaq taking its time. I think it's gonna break out here, forming a nice little build-up pattern. Again, I'm really not a fan of how the VWAP bands are so close together. I'd much rather see them, further apart. But we're not getting the movement on the day that we would need to see that. And as much as I think this could break out after, being at this level for so long and not actually shooting off, I completely lose all trust that this thing will pay me. So I'm not going to take the breakout. Pretty much no matter what I see. That's a lie. If I saw some huge massive delta bar, I would take the breakout. But other than that, I'm not going to take it. Grab my laptop and test this thing, check this thing. Nope, wrong password. It's called trading NQ futures live. Yeah, my laptop it loads 720p, so I don't know why it's showing that it's like not. Anyway, I guess it's just something to note. I don't know how normal streamers do this. How do they check when probably have somebody else check their stream for health, or they just have a lot of like viewers to do that for them anyway. Just ask. Granted, I could ask, but I don't know. Looks like it wants to break out finally. Gotten above the opening range. This is actually a clear break above the opening range. Let's see what it looks like on the 15-minute. Yeah, the people on the 15-minute are gonna see this forgot what it's called. Hammer. I don't remember what it's called. Anyway, this red candle here, the 845 candle is bullish. That's a very bullish candle. Even though it closed red, it's still bullish, and then you have an engulfing afterwards. And this candle closes in 1 minute, so I would expect that this would push up after this. So I am going to long, just based off of, I think the 15-minute chart is going to hold.
Order filled.
I'll give it a little bit of space. As always, moving my take profit way off, just because I'm not really targeting anything specific. I just look to move my stop up and get out. I'll move it to like this pivot point, just, you know, just for whatever. Just to have it on there somewhere, right? I want to see what this does when this 15-minute bar closes in the next couple seconds. Again, the delta looks good. ES is pushing. I don't see why the Nasdaq wouldn't follow suit, so I'm going to try and give it some space. I do have to remember it is a breakout. We're at the +2, so it may just not want to, honestly. That's why I hate breakouts. Yeah, this one will hurt if I lose this. Again, just giving it a bit of space to work, because again, I am taking a trade based off of a 15-minute chart, so I just understanding that I have to give it a bit more space than I would normally like to. But that's just the name of the game on this trade. I think that's the correct choice, rather than having it be super tight. Normally, if I had it as tight as I wanted, I would have been out of here. Let's see if it can push here. I don't want to see it fail. I want to move my stop to break even somewhere really bad. But I still want it to have a chance to push after that, so I'll just have to continue to bear some sort of risk. I don't know what the holdup is here on the Nasdaq. I don't think there's any resistance that I'm missing here. No, nothing in particular. I'm going to tighten the stop a little. Now that it's failed, you know, a second time, I'm willing to lose less. So on this, I'm basically saying if it ever makes a low, any sort of relative or local low, I'm just out.
Stop filled.
So out there, that one hurts a little bit. Lost 855 on that one. I like to keep my losers really small, so that's unfortunate. Watch, it pushes up here now. What's this 15 still look like? Yeah, oh well. I should have stuck with what I had said initially of just not trading whatever breakout looks, no matter how it looks here. I know that, and yet I do it anyway, that's why I say I'm not a good trader, because of stuff like that. What does it actually want to do here? Does it want to turn bearish and sell off and rotate back down? See, these are the days, if this was to rotate down here, I'm probably calling it quits because I just can't trade these rotational days. Like I just do very badly on them historically. I think it's just something to recognize about yourself is like what type of trader are you? What markets do you trade well? What markets do you trade bad? The thought that I'm having now is I think if I was to just long this and give it a big stop underneath this whole area, it would probably work out. But that stop would just be way too big. Now it's continuing. Trying not to FOMO in here. I mean, I very well could, but if I did, I would need to keep the stop very tight. Man, breakouts just suck. I think breakouts are one of the worst things, and that's what I see the majority of the time. Just gonna try and be patient here. I really haven't actually been patient today. I really haven't. I've just kind of jumped into everything. Would like to see a drop here. so I can get in somewhere that I would actually like to get in. Today's honestly looking pretty similar to Friday. The market was, pushing upward, but it was slow and grindy, and that was after like a big dip. Not a big dip, but you know, a decent sized dip. And then probably about like 10:30 it just launched. And then it went sideways a little bit and then it would launch again, and that's kind of what it did all Friday. So if I can survive and not take dumb trades long enough to make it till whenever this thing finally decides to, do whatever it's going to do, I think I'll be all right. Just a matter of surviving till then. Okay, getting that little bit of sell off. Let's see if it can continue. This is testing the opening range high on the 15-minute. Not a bad place to long at all. If we can get some momentum again, kind of the same old story from the beginning of the day. Are looking at the VWAP bands, from level to level is only a little over 20 points. And on Nasdaq, usually when I'm looking for pullbacks, I'm looking for the pullback to be like 20 plus points. Example here, when it pulled back from here to here, I want this to be one level. Base of the opening range is the size that I'd want my levels, like the top of it. So greater than 50 points. And we're not getting that today. It's very tight. Like based on the chart, I should be longing this already, but again, it's the same risk of my stop has to be right underneath here at 951, and that's just a very tight stop. Very easy for that to get hit. Okay, still pushing down, still trying to test and see if the opening range high will hold. So far it is. The delta, well, I think sellers are controlling the moment, buyers are still fighting, so it's not one-sided to either way, to be honest. Could go either way. Okay, continued push to the downside. I would like to see it get down towards one of these nodes, either just above the first deviation, just below the +1, or just above VWAP. Either or would be good spots to long for me. Delta's showing some weakness here. Sellers in control at the moment. We'll see how far they can push this down. Also keeping an eye on the ES forming a bearish engulfing candle, or trying to anyway. We'll see how it closes in the last minute here. If it can just get that little bit of a push down that it needs to engulf. Some people will see that and treat that as a a sell signal. $15 not at risk of forming any sort of engulfing. Let's look at the 30. At least not on the Nasdaq. The 30-minute looks bullish. The 5-minute is, I mean, it's technically an engulfing, but this is more of a, really, I think you're looking at the rounding shape of it that's starting to get bearish there. Yeah. Starting to push up here, holding the opening range, very tempting to long. I didn't like the way the delta looked, so I didn't do it right at that moment, but it was tempting. If I see some buyers on the delta, I'll probably long this. Looking for any sort of confirmation. Make sure this delta and all this stuff is loading right. Should be. Oops. Long or short? Let's make a decision. I'm not a fan of indecisive markets. It's boring, it's tedious, it takes forever. Very easy, very prone to make mistakes when the markets are this way. My guess is long, but we'll see. Something that'd be interesting to see would be to, buy one contract here, buy another one contract at the node right above VWAP, and then put another contract at like opening range low somewhere, and then just sell all three if it breaks below the low of day, and just see if that turns profitable at any point in the day, or just what would happen. I may backtest it later, because originally when I started this little series, I wanted to scale trade, where I was scaling in one contract at a time up to 3 contracts. Because my problem is not that I can't get funded with Top Step, it's that I don't stay funded for a very long time. So then I was thinking of, like, if I just scale, then I'm still trading my 3 contract size potentially, but with a lot less risk, because I'm getting in, with one contract initially, and if the one contract just goes in my favor, then, I'll just accept that and let it run for as long as possible. But I just found that wasn't working for me personally. But I just need to back test it more, figure out a strategy or a game plan that works for it. I just find it way easier to trade with larger size and to get in and out quickly than to try to be correct over a a lot longer of a time frame. Okay, selling off here. Just things to note, this is actually a significant sell-off for today. Again, from what we know about the Nasdaq, certainly what is this, 20 points? It's not even 20 points. It's less than 20 points, like 16, 17 points. 17-point push on the Nasdaq is nothing. It's not nothing, but it's not a lot. You can push 17 points in either direction in, under 30 seconds. But today, it's taking over 10 minutes to move 17 points. So just got to be aware that, today's a little bit different. So trade accordingly, but also keep in mind that at any time, the Nasdaq can change its mind. People can either start selling or buying, and this thing can start running wherever. So, yeah. I think at some point the market's going to expand. It's going to get bigger, like it did here temporarily. It will at some point. So I think, again, just like I keep saying, but not doing, just be patient, wait for the market to really show its hand, wait for these bands to start to spread out, and just get in at that point. I think if we get a decent sized pullback here, it'll trigger something. Check news. Not seeing anything significant on the news feed. Oh. To long this or not to long this? The chart would indicate that I should. Well, maybe a little higher than that. If we can show some more sustain, more of a push there, it would say that I should. If we can get back above this opening range and stay above it, I would think to go long there based on the chart. The delta kind of says otherwise. Well, actually, there's some buyers coming in there. If I long here, I'm afraid I may be early.
Order filled.
Gonna enter. Stops fairly tight. 705. Again, take profit just way off. Moving away off. Not really worried about my take profit. Just like to have one there for the sake of having one. We'll see if this can actually sustain and push up anywhere at all. I really don't get the sense that this thing is going to sell off strongly. Not to the point that it like cracks underneath VWAP, but I don't know. I say that just because I kind of get the feeling that I would be okay to just set my stop way under VWAP, which I know is really far away, and then to just, you know, put my take profit somewhere in this area and just leave. Just walk away, come back later, forget about it, go do something else, come back later, and just see where the market, what it did. It's a lot more stress-free than staring at charts. But we're in it. We'll see where it goes. So far, so good. I do like how it touched the bottom of this range and, you know, gave the long signal on the range bar, my 20 tick range chart. Then we followed that up with the cumulative delta. The bar came in at the same time, and so just took a long based off of that, and we'll see where it goes. Again, very tempting to try to just lock this into, you know, somewhere profitable. Very tempting to move my stop up to break even. I'm going to try and give it a little bit of space. Just because I do actually think that this one is correct. If it rejects, then, you know, so be it. Oh well, then I'm just wrong. But I do think that this is actually a correct entry here. I'm not liking that I'm seeing this red bar here with sellers. Okay. I think if this comes down from here, I'm not willing to accept the risk of it coming down.
Stop filled.
Yeah. Right there, it got high enough that I felt like it should push then and there. And if it doesn't, then I'm just not willing to accept whatever risk that this may come down. I may end up regretting that and this pushes up, which actually does happen to me quite a lot, but just so be it. I will admit though, so far my problem today is being a little bit more patient with my losers than my winners. That trade made $105. We're okay with that. This would have been a lot more, but that's okay. We'll see if it double tops here and can pull back to the opening range. Then we'll long again. Of course, depending on what the delta and what the ES look like. Something I never do is short. I never short these sorts of positions, but it's tempting, honestly. You know, we're at the highs. A little overextended to the long side. Not really, maybe a little bit. But you see the delta looks like it's been bearish. And the markets have not been aggressively pushing up today. It's kind of been ranging more towards the upside. Definitely ranging more towards the long side, I'll admit that, but nevertheless, not really been pushing strongly. So I don't think this is the worst short. I'm not going to take a short here because it's not my strategy, but I don't think it's the worst thing. Plus your stop would be really tight anyway, even if you did have it at the swing right at high of day. The high of day is not all that far away. I don't know. I'm thinking I may have to adjust my my trading window because I always get in here right about 8:30 and then get out about 10:30. I may need to adjust that and be a little bit later, or just trade longer, to be honest. Because at least these past couple of, pretty much all last week and then today, the first 2 hours haven't been anything amazing. Usually it's right around 10:30 things start to get going. Let's see if this wants to break out here. Yeah, see, this ended up not really pushing up the way I'd have liked. So as much as I'm annoyed that I got stopped out here and didn't capture this profit here, even if I had let it push up to here, I would have moved my stop to just under this bar and gotten stopped out anyway. So I might have made another, I don't know, $75 realistically. So really not that big a deal. And that's kind of why I move my stops up quickly like that, is because really what I'm looking for are the pushes like this, right, where it rips. And no matter if I got at this bottom, no matter where I would have gotten in, this push is going to be close to a K on 3 contracts. Same thing here, no matter where I would have got in, push is close to 1,000. Or not no matter where I got in. Once I get in at this area, I'm just not going to get stopped out until, a decent profit, because it just surges. And aside from those 2 moments, there haven't really been trades to the long side that would have done that. Everything would stop me out somewhere, or wasn't a good entry to get into it, or that sort of deal. So that's kind of what I'm dealing with today, what I've been dealing with pretty much all last week, with the exception of Friday. Man, I got allergies, man. All weekend I was outside playing sports and doing whatever, and I'm paying for it now. I like like the way that delta looks. Man, it's killing me. They're killing me with these breakouts today. To take the breakout or not to take the breakout? I hate trading breakouts, but it just is what it is. If that's what the market is giving me, then, you know, you kind of have to just take it. Look at the time-based charts. That looks okay. Pull back, pull back. DS has started to push up. Man, very, very tempting to buy market into this. It would be a FOMO trade though.
Order filled.
We're just gonna follow the current range bar. We'll start there, which is extremely tight. It's too tight. We'll put it here. Risking 285. Either it's gonna go or it's not gonna go. And if it doesn't, 285 is, I'm okay with losing 285. Not that I want to, but eh. And if I do sacrifice this 285, I need that to turn into a pullback so I can long off of something more concrete lower. What I don't want is it stops me out and then goes right back up.
Stop filled.
Don't do it. There you go. Come down. There we go. Come down. Zoom out a little bit here. You're going to the hospital? Oh, okay. 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 Let's keep coming down. I want to see a nice sell-off here. I want to see it get to opening range, maybe even to VWAP. A nice VWAP bounce play off of a move like this would be wonderful. Don't know if it'll get all the way over there, but certainly here is enough to long, especially, you know, the way it's looked today. Nice channel, nice upward, you know, If we were to draw trend lines, right, we'll pretend, but if we were to draw two trend lines, there's a nice upward channel here, and we're pretty much near the bottom of it. Need some sort of confirmation before I just long here. The chart alone looks decent to long, but I would like to see a little bit more on the delta. Look, if you want to come down more, I don't mind. Just hurry up and do it. Or go up, either way. A bit of indecision here. Let's go look at this. Let's actually try and find a target. I think that pivot point is good enough. 1411. $14.11 is what? 38 points, 39 points. I think it could reach there. I think honestly if it continues to grind up this way, it could grind to 14.11. That's where the pivot level is. So it makes sense that it could reach that, especially because it's only the first one. So it's really not that far away. All things considered. Nasdaq is only up 34 points on the day. Definitely lots of space for it to push in either direction. Okay, a little bit more of a sell-off. Don't mind seeing that. I'm pretty sure this push-up is not manipulation. It's not anyone running stops or anything because, you know, the market was trending up. So really people wouldn't have been setting up short here strongly. So I think this wasn't just manipulation. I think this was a genuine push. And I only bring that up because I'm essentially, it's, I'm trusting that this is going to go up at some point. It's just a matter of where do I get in, and when I do get in, do I give it enough space? Am I able to give it enough space there to, last in the trade long enough to capture whatever is was happening on the long side? And once it does, is that push big enough, and will I hold it long enough to actually collect? We are coming up on my last half hour. Can't jump in there, not with that, not on that alone. Let's try and be quick. Let's go look at a 1 minute chart, see what it looks like there. 1 minute trying to form an engulfing, and it just did. I'm gonna buy. I'll buy. No, I won't. Yes, I will. No, I won't. Yes, I will. I still want to see more confirmation than just that. The 1 minute chart is so finicky.
Order
Enter.
filled.
I'll enter. See how it acts here? I'm gonna leave my stop, just underneath the whole swing low, underneath the range. I would hate to lose that much, but it makes sense. It fits structure. If we're following the general, of the day, it fits. So I will leave it there. Moving this to 14, just under 14.11. Put it 14.10. Just under 14.10, just because I have a thing against whole numbers. I don't know what it is about whole numbers. To be honest, it'll probably get stuck at 14K. 14K is already plenty. Again, not that I'm specifically looking for any take profit. At some point, I'm just going to move my stop up. But if I'm going to leave my stop down here, I'm gonna have a take profit that's also decently far away. So we'll see what it does. I'm gonna try and actually sit in this one though. Moving the stop up has not been helping me much today. I've got to try and trust my analysis a bit more, and just trust that looking at this trend, right? Like, you're looking at the delta pushing again. You see how it trended down and came up, looked strong. The ES is pushing its high at the same time, and then you're seeing the Nasdaq has been trending up. You had a dip in the morning, right? A sell off, caught a bid, starts the push. Around this area, it started to chop around the opening range high. It got above it, and as much as it came down and tested it, it never really broke the opening range high. So it formed a nice strong range there. So I think really getting in anywhere and keeping your stop underneath this opening range high is valid. And then since then, you've had nothing but build up formations, and then pushing a tongue tie, and then it's pushed up. So I don't necessarily know what exactly is causing that. I don't know if it's some major market mover is trying to average in at as low a price as possible, right? So maybe they have some sort of line that they have drawn, and they're buying as soon as it touches that line, or as soon as it gets underneath it, right? And so what I'm hoping for is that whatever is causing this market to go up like this so far allows it to continue to grind upwards like this. I'm okay if it's not surging as long as I'm in it. And the problem that I've had lately has been that I cut off my trades early and I get out. That one maybe I could have just taken it out off of being hitting the +2, but trying to actually give it space here. And just hoping that for whatever reason the market doesn't just totally, you know, dump on itself and just say, screw this guy. We're going short now. It shouldn't. I don't see a reason for it to, so it shouldn't. But you just never know. So just gonna be patient, gonna chill. Again, this is one of those situations where if it wasn't for the sake of streaming, I would totally walk away from the screen, leave my take profit. I'd probably move my take profit a bit further down just so I know it's at something that'll get hit, and then just walk away. And maybe come back in an hour and see where we were and adjust. If I'm still in the trade, adjust as necessary, but probably in an hour this thing would have hit one way or the other. Price coming down a bit. Delta not necessarily showing sellers just yet. We'll see what it does. Oh man. I'm about due for a big winning day. I haven't had a large winning day in forever. I've had a couple days where it was plus 500, a couple days where, well, the majority of the days I stop at like plus 500 something for whatever reason. I keep getting stuck there. And then I've had a few days where I've lost 1500, which have pretty much offset those gains. So I'm about due for like a grand plus on a day. To be frank, scalping with three contracts and not being able to hit a grand is just an indication of how bad of a trader I am. I think I've just honestly started to take. I think I and a lot of people actually take it for granted how large three contracts is. Three contracts is no joke. Staying patient here, letting markets do whatever they're gonna do. See, times like this, it's like I just want to shut up, stop talking, and let some music play. That's something I'll have to figure out next. Is how to get like some non-copyright music to just play some nice chill hip hop type stuff. For those joining, trading the Nasdaq. This is a Top Step account trading on step 2. For those who are unfamiliar with Top Step, just, I don't know, Google it or go to topstep.com and just, read. But basically they offer a combine where they'll give you funding if you can pass their combines. Their combine is a 2-step process. You have to pass step 1 and show that you can reach the 9K profit target. And then if you can pass step 1, then you move on to step 2, where again you have to hit the 9K profit target, but there's a few more restrictions on how many contracts you can trade and all that. So right now we're on step 2. I think this is day 4 or 5. But on step 2, trying to get to that 9K profit target. Getting there slowly but surely. Slowly but surely. Trading the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq's been pushing up for most of the day. Had a nice sell-off around the open, or just after the open. Sorry. But after that sell-off, it's been nothing but long and strong. Or we won't necessarily say strong. It's been long, but not aggressively long. It's been a lot of this type of action where it just kind of meanders in an area, slowly grinds up. You get a bit of a push, and then it, pulls back a bit, meanders again. So we'll see what it does here. Hopefully it can continue doing what it's been doing. We can get more to the long side, get a nice big push, and I can get out of here. If I was to close it now, I would be break even on the day. Not here to break even. We're here to make some money. So I'm gonna chill, let it push. Currently like what I'm seeing. I want to see it continue. Don't want to exit just yet. Or I don't want to move my stop up just yet. Part of me feels like I'm being a little bit greedy, but I don't know. I think it's okay. I think I need to just be more patient with my winners. Or I know that. It's not even something I think. Like, I know that for a fact. You need to be very, very impatient with losing trades. If your trade is going against you, just get out. Like, for whatever reason, right? Even if you really think it's going to work and you're super positive and everything looks like it's in your favor, but the price is currently going against you, just get out. Look for like a whole nother another trade. Well, anyway, don't necessarily take my advice. Again, there are traders out there who I think are much better than me who would say probably the opposite. But personally, depending on how that trade looks, I say get out and then look for a whole different trade or a continuation, right? Or more confirmation of whatever you were initially thinking. And then when it's actually in your favor, sit there and hold, even if it means like setting a take profit and walking away, because that's what I used to do, right? And actually I think that was the point in my life when I was most profitable, was when I would just walk away from the screen. Once I got into a position like this, I would move my stop wherever, move my take profit wherever, and I would walk away. And it was so much easier, so much less stress. I'm not sitting at the charts and making mistakes because I'm getting impatient or antsy or greedy or fearful or any of that stuff. It just takes all the emotion out of it, right? You analyze, you enter, you walk away. But now I'm trying to stream, so now I have to look. I'm not gonna lie, I'm so tempted to just cut this off right here. I'm moving the stop up here. It's just a tick underneath the previous bar.
Stop filled.
Okay. So that's my problem there, is I'm scared, like I'm not a greedy trader whatsoever. I'm just very fearful. So then I get out of things early. This thing could very well continue to push up. But as soon as I see like the momentum is slowing down, and let's just be real, the momentum today hasn't there hasn't really been a lot of momentum. There's been a few moments where it's pushed, but almost always it's immediately come back and chopped around and done stuff like this to then, push a little bit. So it is what it is. I think I am gonna call it today. Again, I'm stopping around that just shy of 10:30. Um, Watch, this thing is gonna rocket off and launch off as I'm getting out, which is what's been happening the past couple weeks. Maybe I need to start trading at 10 o'clock instead of at 8:30. But anyway, just to kind of recap the day, pretty straightforward today. Came in, looked at the overnight markets. Looking at the overnight, we're basically this is Sunday, where the marker's at now. Draw a circle to make it easy to see. Little ellipse. Somewhere around here is Sunday night when the market opened. I'm sorry, maybe it's over here. Anyway, I don't know. Somewhere around here is Sunday night, the market opens. It pushed down strongly and had a big sell-off. I did check and see that just to see what it was doing. Just a good habit to have is see what the market looks like it's doing on Sunday. Sunday when it opens at like 5, I think 5 or 5:30, whenever. Central time, that is. But the market sold off. Then from that sell-off, I guess overnight, it just kind of chopped around. Looked bullish, but, nevertheless, still very sideways. Um, in the early morning hours, it sold off, had a low here, and then caught a bid. Pushed up, and then the market opened here at 8:30. So from this open, we were sideways for a little bit. I thought it was going to go long here, but after seeing the way the delta was looking, the delta was very indecisive, and I was seeing a lot of indecision in the chart as well. So I decided I would just draw my opening range just to see kind of how the market was reacting at those levels. The market sold off, and so here I was thinking maybe it would go short. And so as a result, or actually, first off, there's a tiny trade here, hard to see. But I did take a long here on this breakout. This breakout failed, unfortunately. Um, I only consider this a good trade because, knowing that it was a breakout and that it was early in the day and seeing that we were very indecisive beforehand, I kept my stop very, very tight. So I didn't lose very much here. But nevertheless, losing trade there, got stopped out. We pushed it down on this downward push. This is bad. I saw it break the opening range, and I FOMO'd in short. So a very aggressive entry here on the short side. Really shouldn't have entered that in hindsight, but just kind of okay taking that because I saw for one, the delta was selling off very strongly here, as you can see, and then we're breaking the opening range low. So try to take another breakout here, but unfortunately it failed. I think I did manage to capture a little bit here just because I moved my stop up very aggressively. So pretty much offset this losing trade. I don't think this was the smartest thing to enter into initially, but hey, it worked out, so we'll take it. This was a good trade. We got back above VWAP. I saw that it was continuing the push. I saw that the delta looked very, very strong to the long side when I took this entry. So entered here based off of delta and breaking the VWAP. So caught that. It pushed to the upside. My only downfall here is I was a bit of a chicken, and just kind of like if you just saw the last trade I did, I got out of this way too early. It's okay because it profited, and I think it was my most profitable trade of the day. Either that one or the last trade I just took. But actually, we can check. That trade made $630, so solid profit nevertheless. But if I had held this a little bit longer, I could have gotten over 1,000. I could have targeted the opening range high at the least. But that's okay. Still profitable, and profit is profit. Next trade, again with the breakouts. I don't really like to take breakouts. I'm more of an advocate for let it pull back, and then when it's pulled back, just buy off the return to the level rather than taking the breakout. Majority of traders are going to take these breakouts, and majority of traders get wrecked. So don't do what most people do. Unfortunately, I'm dumb, so I took the breakout and, it started going against me. And I didn't get out very quickly like I was on the previous ones. I tried to give it more space and, I paid for it. Um, so that one I think lost like 800, I think. So I lost 855 on that trade. So actually a fairly big loser there, unfortunately. And this is probably my worst trade of the day. Took that for a while. So then after that, so I started pushing up, decided I was going to be patient and really wait for it to break the range. Um, it did here, and then it pulled back. I saw that it was pulling back, slowly just grinding. Was watching the delta start forming this rounding formation here. As soon as I saw delta get bullish, I longed, on the push up of the above the opening range. As you can see, the opening range is this box. Pushed, went long. Again, my stop was very tight here. Um, in hindsight, hindsight's 2020, right? So in hindsight, I say, yeah, I should have gave it more space. But after seeing, this downward push here, I was a bit more hesitant, so I didn't want to. Realistically, my stop should have been underneath the the bottom of the opening range on the top side, right? So the opening range high, opening range bottom, or opening range top and opening range bottom, right? Just for labels. So if this opening range top, I should have had my stop here for this trade. But I got out early again. Um, Made a little bit there, very negligible. I took another trade here on a breakout because I was hoping this was FOMO, this trade here. Uh, Took a long here, expecting that it would push up. It failed. Lost a little bit there, which is fine. And then, as y'all saw, the final trade of the day. Um, just waited for the pullback, was patient, waited for the pullback, it went sideways. As was going sideways, I saw the buildup forming on the delta and holding the node. So then bought on the breakout of that, this little formation here. The delta was also confirming this. Bought, held it for a little bit, and then got out. I do think that the trade will probably continue to the long side, but once I'm done for the day, I'm just done for the day. So that's it. Hopefully this is helpful. It's just sharing my experience. Again, don't trade the way I trade. Do better than I do. And that's it. Thanks for watching.